Mango Math presents Zilch, a pre-algebra game. Zilch follows the math strand of having students practice adding positive and negative integers. They'll also develop an understanding of absolute value. Some math terms to help increase understanding that we'll have in this is absolute value, which is the absolute value of a number. Ignoring the positive and negative value, it's the distance from zero, and it is the symbol is those two lines in between the number or on the outside of the number. The supplies that are provided in the pouch along with your information sheet and directions will be a deck of playing cards, a Zilch score sheet, a dry erase marker, and eraser. To play this game, you'll start by dealing 7 cards to each player, and they'll have them in their hand without the other person seeing. We're showing these ones in order to play the game, but they'll hold them in their hand without the other person seeing. You'll have a pile that is your draw pile, which is face down on the board, and then you'll have a card that's face up as your discard pile. So you'll already start with a card that's dealt upwards. On a player's turn, they have an option of taking from the draw pile or from the discard pile. So they can choose to take what they don't know or what they do know. So in this case, the player decides to take that 7. And now he's going to see, can he make any value of 0 with his cards? So can he put a positive card, which is a black card, against a negative card, which is a red, or in this case, a mango colored card, and make an absolute value? And you can do it with 2 or more cards. So in this case, he can take the 7 and the other 7. So negative 7 and positive 7 make 0. He can take the positive 12 and the negative 12 to create 0 as well. And then he has to discard a card, and so he discards the 9. So anytime on your turn, you can play Zilches if you have them, and if you don't, then you discard a card out of your hand. So now it's the next player's turn, and they can choose if they're going to take from the discard pile or from the pile that they don't. And in this case, they are going to draw, and they drew a 5. So they take that 5 into their hand, and they look at all their cards and see if they have created any Zilches. So it's any 2 or more cards that create a 0 value. So they're going to take that 5, but they can take the positive 3 and the positive 2. So negative 5 and positive 3 and positive 2 creates a 0 value. And then they're going to discard 1 card, and they're going to discard that 0. So now it's the next player's turn. Their turn, they're going to draw a card. They drew a 9. They take that card into their hands. They look, and they don't feel like they have any Zilches they can create. So they have to now just discard a card. So they're going to discard that same 9. So now it's the next player's turn, and he has a choice of taking what he doesn't know from the stack of cards that is there that he can't see, or he can take any 1 or more than 1 card from the draw pile. Now, if he takes off of the draw pile, he has to use the last card in the series of numbers. So if he takes this whole pile, the 9, the 0, and the 9, the red card and the black card, he has to use that 9 of hearts in his zip. He has to use it. He can't just grab the cards and not use it. He has to be able to use it in a zip. All those cards, he places them down, and we now have this selection of cards. So he can now do any zips that he has. He's got that negative 9 and positive 9, so he's created a zip, and he's also used that last card that he drew. He can then look and see what else he has. He has that 7, and a 7 plus a 0 still makes 7. And then he can take the negative 1 and the negative 6, and he has created Zilch, and then he discards that final 2, and he's won the game. In order to win the game, you have to have 1 card left that you can discard. You can't use that last card as in your Zilches. You have to use it, or in your zips, you have to discard it. So you have to hold on to 1 card for discard. So this player has now won the game. So now how do we go to score? So you'll see we had round 1. It said the value of the zip cards. So that's all the cards that you collected that had that 0 value. And now we're going to count all those cards up and add them together, and we come up with 42. So we're going to write that down as our zip value. The value of remaining cards, we don't have any remaining cards. We were able to get rid of them all, so it's 0. Our score is 42, and our running score is 42 because this is our first round. But as we continue to play, we'll add numbers onto that, or even possibly subtract them if you had a negative value. Score the other player, we add up their zip cards. So they have the 2 7s and the 2 12s, which equals 38. And now what we have to do is we're going to have the value of the remaining cards, which we have that 5, 1, and 4, and we add that up. It makes 10. And now we subtract that 10 from the total value of zip cards. So we have a score of 32, and our running score is 32. So you can see how you can score these for the players. Okay, another option that you have in playing this game is you don't necessarily have to have 2 cards that are opposite of each other, like the black 9 and the red 9. You can do it different ways. So let's say I take out that negative 9 and I take out a positive 7. A negative 9 and a positive 7 equals a negative 2. I can then take out that positive 2, and I now have created zilch, because that 7 plus 2 is going to get us 9 also. But this is kind of a different way to look at it, is that you can use the positive and negatives in a series to get a zilch. Some guided questions to promote critical thinking is, how do you make the most points when you lay down a zip? Can you have a lot of points on a zip? Higher cards, probably. And when is it a good idea to pick up more than one card from the discard pile? And why might you want to hold cards in your hand, even if you could lay them down? Is there an opportunity you could hold cards? Is there a way to lay down more cards at one time? Take the risk that the other player won't get out before you do. So there's some strategic thinking in this game as well. So enjoy.